Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And I am going into a run now where I'm going to finish out the Doors catalog, except for the American Poet album. And to finish it out, I'm going to start with the first album, this is the last Jim Morrison Doors studio album that I have yet to cover. That was released before he passed away. Let's get into it. The Doors' self-titled debut album, featuring half of the classics you hear on a greatest hits album. Realistically, this album kind of reads like a greatest hits album when you start looking at the track titles. So let's just get into the tracks. Album opens up with Break On Through to the Other Side. And let me tell you, the intro, that is the perfect song to open up this album. And it just goes from there, man. Oh, yeah. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah. Great riff. Great song. Absolutely love it. After that, we get into, and Break On Through is such a classic that everybody really should know, and so I shouldn't need to devote any more time. Soul Kitchen. Now, this is one of those songs that I really dig. I think it's a great song on this album. It is a great, deep album cut. And if you've never heard Soul Kitchen, you really should give Soul Kitchen a listen to. It is a really fine, choice tune. I understand why it's never been a single, and I understand why it doesn't get a lot of radio play, because, I mean, when you look at a lot of the other songs on this album, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle a bit. And surprisingly, it gets lost in the shuffle even to the next song on this album, which is The Crystal Ship. And Crystal Ship is a mellower track. Really, I think may have been the inspiration for Black Sabbath's Planet Caravan to a small degree. Probably not, but I want to say to a small degree with the music styling and nuances and whatnot. Poetic majesty of the lyrics. Crystal Ship, I know a lot of people love it. I'm one of the few people that I'm kind of so-so about the song myself. It is a great song. It is a beautiful song, and it works perfectly on the album. And at this point, it's the nice, perfect little slowdown that this album needs. But I had a buddy who used to drive me up the wall with singing like the very beginning of the song. So just over the years, it's kind of for me a little bit. Not that I've hung out with that guy in years, but, you know, it was so long it stuck. Alright, after that, the album picks back up again with 20th Century Fox. Alright, even as a kid, I always loved 20th Century Fox, and it's funny because, you know, in today's society, everybody's going to say, oh, it's a sexist song, and blah, 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 blah. Alright. Now, if the story is true of everything I've heard, 20th Century Fox was Jim Morrison out on the beach, and there was this black woman on the beach that went walking by wearing a bikini or something like that, like, you know, beachwear. And Jim just turns around basically and goes, oh man, that is a 20th Century Fox. Whether or not that story is true or not, I'm not sure. That's the version of the story I've heard. Now, that being said, I think that is so much cooler of a story for this song. The fact that in the 1960s, Jim Morrison sees this black woman, and let's face it, we're talking the end of the 60s, but it's still the 60s, okay? And, you know, we know what the U.S. was like in the 60s. Now, Jim Morrison was obviously in California at this point, but the fact that Jim Morrison looked at this black woman in a bikini strutting down the beach in the 60s and went, that's a 20th Century Fox. That story just rules, man. That is awesome. Sexual equality. Sexual harassment equality, sexual longing equality, sexual appreciation equality. Just being ridiculous now. Moving on to the next song, Alabama song, Whiskey Bar. Now this is an old polka kind of, traditionally kind of song. I don't remember who is credited for writing it. Wildbreck and Arms Co. So, I like Whiskey Bar. Whiskey Bar is fun. Whiskey Bar is yet another song where time versus lyrical content hasn't worked out so well for the song. You know, especially when you get the part, show me the way to the next little girl. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask. Okay, so I don't think they meant little girl. Okay, I don't think Jim was, you know, talking kids in the playground kind of thing. I think it was more, you know, Jim was looking for a young shorty. Now, the other thing too to remember here is Jim Morrison died at the age of 27, if I remember correctly. 27 and Out Club, yeah, I think. If I remember that correctly, that's it. So he died at 27 in 71 or 72. I'll put it up here. And that means when this album was recorded, you know, we're talking 68, so you can take a few years off there. So we're talking like maybe, you know, Jim was what, around 23-ish, 24-ish when this album was recorded. So when he's talking about little girl, I'm picturing him talking about, you know, maybe a high school girl, okay? And yeah, is there a bit of an age gap? Okay, sure. It happens. I mean, at 23, I dated a 17-year-old. Or was I 22? I was 22. Sorry. 22, I dated a 17-year-old. So, you know, I keep in perspective. And that 17-year-old turned around after we split up and started dating a dude in his 30s. So, you know, or close to his 30s. So it's a thing, you know. It doesn't happen as much now, and, you know, now it'd be a little, but, you know, this is still in a day where writing a song 10 years later called Christine 16 was still okay-ish, you know. So, perspective. However, great song. Then we get to the ever-loving classic Light My Fire, which everybody automatically attributes to Jim Morrison, but it wasn't Jim Morrison that wrote the damn song. If you ever watched the Doors movie, it was, I want to say Krieger? It was either Krieger or Densmore. I can't remember who actually wrote the lyrics to Light My Fire. And, yeah, it's a good tune. It's a good tune. I really dig Light My Fire, but out of every song in the Doors catalog, it's probably the one I would listen to the least. Only because it is, like, the most overplayed one. After that, we're followed up by Backdoor Man. Now, I am not sure on this song on which variation of a backdoor man they're talking about. They could be talking about, you know, the guy who comes in and out through the back, like literally comes in and out through the back door because he's kind of sneaking quietly into the house and sneaking quietly out of the house, okay? So it could be that, or it could be someone who likes to do a little anal sex upon the ladies, and he's talking about going in through that back door. Sorry about the voice. It felt like the moment. So I'm not sure exactly which way Jim was going with this one. It could have been either or. Either way, I'm fine with it. It's a good tune, you know. And the idea that in 1968, was it 68 on here? It says 68, right? Yeah, it says 68 on here. The idea that in 68, Morrison is sitting out there on stage screaming, I feel bad, oh man, and women are going nuts for this, you know. You got to kind of wonder, right? Just a little bit. Especially when people talk about everything nowadays and how loose moral fibers of women have gotten nowadays, all right? The Doors were one of those bands where if you went to the concert, it was not all dudes, like going to a Rush concert or something like that, right? You know, like it was a good portion female audience. And there was crazy ladies in that audience. After that, we go into I Looked at You. I Looked at You might be one of the few songs on this album that I would consider that you could possibly just skip it. It's really not anything important in the Doors catalog. Not even close. After that, we go into End of the Night. End of the Night's not a bad tune, I guess. It's okay. I mean, it's a little more oof than I Looked at You, but it's not anywhere near any of the deep album cuts on this. You know, like compared to Soul Kitchen, no. Compared to The Crystal Ship, no. Compared to Backdoor Man, no. And I think Backdoor Man's more of a single than an album cut too. But then you get to track 10, Take It As It Comes. I like Take It As It Comes. Nice, raw, high, intense energy. It's really interesting because with Metallica, I don't know if anybody knows the story behind this, but when Metallica covered Queen's Stone Cold Crazy, the reason why they covered it was the Elektra label was asking bands to cover songs from the back catalog. And Metallica went with Stone Cold Crazy, which was a great cover. But they completely ignored every part of the Doors catalog, which is owned by Elektra. And songs like Take It As It Comes is one of those reasons why I kind of wonder why they ignored doing any Doors songs, because the power and the energy in there is spectacular. That's just me, though. And then you get to the last song on the album, and probably the most famous of all of the Doors epic songs. You get to The End. Obviously, you can't finish an album. If you're going to have a song called The End, you either got to start with it, you either put the end at the beginning, or the beginning at the end, and the beginning at the end, or you put the end at the end and the beginning at the beginning. Well, they put The End at the end of the album in a wonderfully cliche way. Great song. I love an epic track. I love a great instrumental epic track with the lyrics nicely spaced out, and you know, the song's just as much about the music as it is about the words, and it all sets this great, giant movie running in your mind. And if it wasn't for the fact that I have listened to The End, I don't know how many times. This is what, I should mention, I've had this CD since 1992? Maybe 1993 at the latest. Like, and this specific CD, you know, this is the only one I didn't get a remaster for out of the catalog, because I already have it. I should get a remaster though. And I've been, you know, The End is one of those songs that everybody used to listen to, and I used to listen to the hell out of it, played the hell out of it. And because I personally used to play the hell out of it, I don't listen to it as much anymore. And if I've got a choice between The End or some of the other epic length songs that the Doors have chosen to end their albums with, I love The End, but there are other ones I would most definitely take before The End. I'd go into more detail about that, but since I plan on doing the Doors breakdown special episode, I'm not going to do that right now. I'll leave that for later on, you know. So, would I recommend this album? Well, you can't say you're a fan of classic rock and not own this album. You have to have this album, okay? That goes without saying. Are there other Doors albums I like better than this one? Yeah. Are there other Doors albums I would recommend over this one? Yeah. But you still have to own this one. This album may not be a perfect 10. And it's strictly because I Looked at You that I'm going to say is not a perfect 10. And it's a hard fucking 9 though, man. That's a hard 9. So you got to own this album. It really, you cannot, like I said, you can't be a fan of classic rock and I mean real classic rock. I'm not talking the 80s classic rock. I'm not talking about the now 90s classic rock. Oh my god, Weezer's now classic rock. What the hell? Okay, I'm talking real classic rock, okay? What was classic rock when I was a kid and, you had classic rock or modern rock, okay? This was classic rock. Now you got classic rock, or sorry, you had oldies rock, you had classic rock, and you had modern rock, all right? Now you got oldies. Some people would almost classify the Doors as oldies. Those people need to be smacked, but it's just because of how old it is. 1968, folks. All right? We're talking 50 plus years now, man. What, 54 years now? 54 years old this album is? Okay, so you got to own it, okay? You have to own it. If you don't own it, go buy it. I don't have a digitally remastered version, so I'm not going to talk about bonus tracks. Can't talk about bonus tracks like I did in every other review. Whatever. This is an album you absolutely must own. Go pick it up. Go buy it. Anyways, folks, my thoughts, my views, my opinions. Comment section. That's for your thoughts, views, and opinions. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. That one's really important. I'm trying to get to the point where I can start doing some actual live streaming. Especially considering I'm going on vacation to go see Rammstein up in Montreal, Quebec in August. I'd really love to be able to shoot some live streaming footage from outside the concert. Anyways, let me know what you think. There's also a link to Patreon. Peace, love, take care.